Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today, Monday, November 8th. What a show we've got. Teddy covers. What happened to the Cowboys? Will Sam Darnold ever play again? What up with the Rams? Holy bloodbath at the Circus Survivor. We're going to talk about none of those things. Marco D'Angelo joining us. He's going to talk Chicago, Pittsburgh, the game tonight. NC State, Wake Forest, East Carolina, and Memphis. Bryan Leonard after that. Detroit, Pittsburgh, and Michigan, Penn State, Coastal Carolina, Georgia State. Teddy, you got a big game breakdown. I got a daily presidential address, but let's start with your 6 Bs because, well, yesterday was one hell of a day in NFL football.
It sure was. But when it came to bad beats, this wasn't a particularly brutal weekend for bad beats. Nonetheless, let's do a little bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. A recap of what just happened over the weekend in football action. And we'll start with some bad beats from Saturday. Look, if you had Wake Forest plus 2.5 against North Carolina, that was pretty brutal. Demon Deacons lead the whole game, blow the lead in the cover in a disaster fourth quarter. Wake Forest plus 2.5. Losing by 3. That was tough. Clemson now has 2 covers this season, and both of them are absolutely brutal for their opponents' backers. First, you get a defensive touchdown against Florida State with no time on the clock. And then Saturday, -4 at Louisville. They're trailing the whole game. Malik Cunningham gets hurt for Louisville. He came back, but he wasn't the same. Clemson gets a fourth quarter rally, including the covering touchdown with 2 minutes left. A first down, they would have taken a knee. Instead, he punches it into the end zone. Clemson gets the money. Tough beat for Louisville backers. And this was maybe the weirdest non-bad beat of the weekend. All right. Oregon up 10 in the closing seconds against Washington. They're supposed to take a knee. Instead, they run a play and they pound it into the end zone, and that touchdown is going to kill all the under bets, as meaningless a touchdown as it gets in the closing seconds. But then it gets overturned on replay. The clock starts running, and it runs out before Cristobal can run another play. So there's no bad beat there. But the quote after the game, those bleeping guys right there, they represent everything that's wrong with football. So when you kick their ass, you let them know it. He was really mad at Jimmy Lake and company. And sometimes that can cause a brutal beat. Didn't in this instance, only because it got overturned on replay. In the NFL yesterday, well, let's see. The Ravens had time of possession, 46 minutes to 23 minutes. They gained 500 yards of offense, outgained Minnesota by 150 yards. They were on the right side. They were down double digits early, but they led by 7 in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. -6, -6.5 all week, up to -7 on game day. 4th and 9, 1 stop to stop Minnesota. Instead, somehow they played off coverage on Jefferson, and it ended up being a touchdown. The Ravens get the win in overtime. No cover, tough for Baltimore backers. And last but not least, the Chiefs completely dominated Green Bay. Jordan Love did nothing. KC with no turnovers, but they had more 3-and-outs in one game than they've had all year. And can't be too mad when the other team puts together one scoring drive late to cover. And then, of course, the clock runs out with you taking a knee just out of field goal range. Yeah, tough if you had Kansas City. Not the first time you've had a tough beat with the Chiefs this season. When it comes to bad bets, well, let's see. There was nothing but Alabama money on Saturday. Nobody bet LSU. Crimson Tide up to 29.5. The Crimson Tide don't even get to 29.5. LSU win wire to wire, or cover wire to wire to say. Florida took the money against South Carolina, but up to -20.5. That's the best I've seen the Gamecocks play this year. Gators were 20.5-point favorites. They lose by 23. That was a bad bet. And all the money came for Baylor, bet up to -7.5, I should say. TCU just fired their coach. Well, firing the coach fired up TCU. The Horned Frogs won outright. The Baylor money, bad bets. And make no mistake about it. We talk about the weeks where the books get clobbered and clocked and whine and complain. Well, Yesterday was the best Sunday of the year for the house, no question. Bad bets. The Bills bet up to minus 14.5 against the Jags, lose outright. The Saints bet up to minus 7 against the Falcons, lose outright. The Cowboys bet up to minus 10 against the Broncos, lose outright. The Texans bet down to plus 3.5, plus 4 against the Dolphins, lose by 2 scores. The 49ers plus 3 to minus 5.5 against Arizona. All the money came on the under in that game too. Wrong, and all Rams money in the late game against Green Bay, and that too. Against Tennessee, and that too was all wrong. Bad for the books. Well, there was a couple on Saturday. Cal was missing half their team, including the quarterback, Chase Gabers. Opened minus 13. They closed minus 7. Arizona snaps a 20-game losing streak with a win over Cal. That was bad for the books. The Air Force Army under, we talked about that on the show last week. Bet down as low as 37, was scoreless at halftime. Went to overtime, tied at 14. Didn't get a bad beat for underbettors in this one. Only one team scored in the extra session. Lands 35. Nobody bet the over. And, of course, nobody bet Rutgers. Wisconsin's a hot team in November, but up to minus 13 on the road. They won 52-3. Bad for the books yesterday in the NFL. Not that much. I mean, there was a wise guy move on Atlanta, New Orleans over. 41.5 up to 43.5 on game day. That cash, that wasn't good for the house. And nobody bet Carolina, even with McCaffrey back. Sam Darnold continues to see ghosts against the Patriots defense. Pats win and cover there, but by and large, those were the only 2 really bad games for the books yesterday, and one of them wasn't even that bad. So, big weekend for the house, Prez. There's your bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. Back to you, my friend.
Awesome stuff, Teddy. And I was reminiscing about my bet on Louisville while you were talking. I was at a friend's house. I had it up on my phone. We were sitting around watching, and I'll tell you, man, I know your segment has to be short, but man, it was like the craziest 3 minutes. Like, I was trying to explain it to Viv because she wasn't watching, and I was like, so first they score a touchdown, but it could have been a field goal, and there was a 4th down. Then it went this way. Then it went that way. And I mean, it was one for the ages, but I was on the wrong side of that. I ended up having a break-even week. I kept winning in NBA. My God, my NBA is rolling right now. But I went 1-2 for my clients in NFL, and man, I took that hard. I was on the Rams to complete my teaser. This Rams team, man, when they lose, they really lose. Like, it's like one of those teams where it's like me with cards. I'm card dead for 2 hours, and then I get aces twice. That's the Rams.
I mean, the Rams A game's good enough to beat anyone. We didn't see the Rams A game last night. And we see it in the NBA all the time. When the superstar sits and the other team just doesn't get up for the game, and then the team without the superstar wins, I wonder if the fact that Derrick Henry wasn't playing for the Titans last night left the Rams a little bit flat. They did not look prepared for that ball.
It's a great point. I mean, just such an interesting NFL day. I mean, the Bills, 6 points. That's unbelievable. Dallas didn't show up. Denver looked like a world beater. Atlanta Falcons, and on and on and on and on. Anyway, let's bring in Mr. 60, Marco D'Angelo. It is, we're a few days late for your birthday, but I want to wish you a happy birthday. You are the youngest looking 80-year-old I've ever seen, the oldest looking 50-year-old. Welcome to Wager Talk Today, bro.
Hey, you know what? I appreciate that, Prez. And, every week I've been coming on, I've been chirping about the football season. Full disclosure, I had a 3-6 football week this week. The college, we split out, but yesterday was not my finest hour. We went 0-3 and, a couple tough losses in there. I was with you on the Rams to close out a teaser, and I had the Raiders, which I think they're in the red zone again, but not scoring. And those are always fun days to watch games like that. But it just seems like when the luck runs out for a given day, it comes in clusters, not just one game. And that was it yesterday for me. But hey, it's a new week, ready to get it kicked off here on the show. And As you can see, I'm sporting the Steelers shirt today. It's Monday Night Football for the Steelers, so I guess we should get into that game.
Yeah, and let's talk about it. The line is now 7 for Pittsburgh. There is still a 6.5 if you guys take a look at the WagerTalk odds screen. As for the total, 39.5 with 140 still left in play. Where are you going here, bro?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to end up looking at the total. But what I want to say when we start breaking this game down, don't be fast to jump on the Steelers tonight. This is a situation that I'll be honest with you. If it wasn't Monday Night Football, I probably would have a play on the Chicago Bears. And here's why. Last week, Pittsburgh had a monster win on the road against their hated rival, the Cleveland Browns. Now, not only is that a big rivalry, Pittsburgh and Cleveland, but the fact is we talk about revenge games all the time. And it's an overused phrase in sports, except when it comes to playoff revenge. And that is one that I still take very serious because you never forget who ended your season. And not only did Cleveland end Pittsburgh's season, they did it in grand fashion. That game was like 28-0 before you blinked your eye last year. And to be totally honest with you, I think it's the only reason Ben Roethlisberger came back this year. I don't think he wanted that to be his last game on his legacy, one of the worst games of his career, and it was to Cleveland in the playoffs. With that said, Pittsburgh's ripe for a major letdown tonight. However, it is Monday Night Lights, and this team has performed well for Tomlin in the primetime games. What they haven't performed well for Tomlin is whenever they're playing a bad team. And in Tomlin's career, as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Steelers are only 13-25 against the spread when they're playing a bad team. And by a bad team, I'm saying a team with a losing record that is getting outscored by 6 points or more on the season. And that is definitely the Chicago Bears. But with that said, I'm not going to jump on the Bears, but I am going to jump on the under. And I think you're going to see a low-scoring game tonight. Pittsburgh has only scored more than 27 points once this season. This is a spot where I'm looking for an old-style Pittsburgh game, grind it out on the ground. And if you look in the last 3 games, Pittsburgh's trying to reestablish their past identity, and that is running the football. They've had 3 straight games with 100-plus yards on the ground. Now, before you get too excited about that, you got to look and see that it took them 30-plus carries to get to 100 yards those 3 games. The previous games, they never ran the ball 14, 15, 16 times a game. So they are trying to move that way as the offensive line tries to gel. As you know, we talked about it numerous times. This is a brand new offensive line for the Steelers. I'm going to look to the under in this game. Take it, and I'll give you one last stat. With the under, this is a league-wide stat. Last 5 seasons, if you blindly played the under with any team that won on the road against a division rival, has a winning record on the season, and playing a team with a losing record, strictly playing the under in those situations, you would be 32-10 to the under the last 5 seasons.
So, Marco, I want to ask you, because yesterday was one of those type of day where the house won every major decision. The bettors got clobbered, the books won a bunch. Does that affect your handicap for Monday Night Football? One thing I don't like to do on Monday nights is bet any public favorite off a big weekend for the public. The house doesn't lose it Sunday and then get clocked again on Monday. Is a reverse in play? When the books win on Sunday, are we more comfortable backing up the favorite on Monday night or an over on Monday night or something like that? Give me your thought process on it.
I do look at that, and it creeps into the back of your mind, Teddy. But you never want to do something because you feel it's due. We know the due factor will send you to the poorhouse if you do that. I will say this much. With the line being 7, you're going to have a lot of parlays that were open to the Steelers. You're going to have a ton of teasers that were open to the Steelers. And if they don't have a parlay or teaser open to the Steelers, they're going to create one tonight, probably with the Thursday night game, because you're going to have Baltimore as a 7-point road favorite on Thursday night, which would, tend to entice somebody. Oh, Baltimore's not going to lose to Miami. Pittsburgh's not going to lose to Chicago. Let's just tease those two. So the books are going to have some exposure tonight with them, and maybe Pittsburgh gets it. They play well on, the primetime games, but that Cleveland game is a Steeler fan. I know how bad they wanted that game last week, and it was a hard-fought game, 15-10. I'm just scared of them tonight. Yeah. I will tell you this much. If the Pittsburgh finds a way to win on Monday Night Football tonight, as ugly as it will be, I will put that Mike Tomlin system into play full force next Sunday when they're playing a regular Sunday game against the Detroit Lions and have the Lions plus the points. So you're getting a little advanced bonus play if Pittsburgh wins tonight.
Yeah, +9. And if Pittsburgh wins tonight, we got two divisions in the AFC just jam-packed. I mean, wow, it's going to be exciting. Marco, let's turn our attention to college football. Number 19, NC State playing number 9, Wake Forest. Wake is at home. They're -2. The total hasn't moved, 66.5. In less than 3 hours, how would you bet this play?
I'll actually be pretty quick with this one because it's a simple handicap for me. You look at Wake Forest. They lost a heartbreaker on Saturday, 58-55. So immediately, because they were undefeated, that kicks in the Dream Crusher game for me. I like to take teams, go against them after their first loss. That puts me on NC State. What also puts me on NC State is irregardless if that was the first loss or not, I like going against the team that looked very good in losing because everybody thinks they're going to bounce back. How much better can you look in losing than losing in a 58-55 game, a shootout like that? So that puts me on NC State. And finally, the eye test. I've said it most of the season. I feel the most complete team in the ACC is NC State. And right now, they have themselves in position where they control their own destiny to the ACC championship game. I think they win this game. I'm getting the better defense, getting points, and that has always been a formula for success for me. I've got NC State 34-27.
You do have the better defense. You are getting points, and you are getting a bubble burst scenario. What you don't have in this game is a better quarterback with NC State. I continue to watch Leary and be unimpressed week after week. And the one thing we know this Demon Deacons team can do is put up points in bunches. And NC State hasn't been able to do that this year. That offense has been hit or miss on a pretty consistent basis. Do you worry at all about Wake just putting the biscuit in the basket and that offense continuing to roll the way that it's rolled all year long as favorites against the Wolves?
There's no question that Wake Forest offense is superior to NC State's. And a month ago, I'd agree with you 100% about the quarterback play for NC State. But, Teddy, if you look, he's had 3 straight games now where he's thrown for over 300 yards. He's gaining confidence. And the one angle in this game is I think they're going to have a ton of success off of play action because when they run the football, and Wake Forest is horrendous with a capital H against stopping the run, it's going to set up some big plays through the passing game. And the fact that he's gotten his confidence in the last 3 weeks, I'm not concerned about that. But you were right. First 5-6 games of the season wasn't pretty for NC State from the quarterback position.
Marco D, I was on Memphis on Saturday. Great win for me. They're now -6 against East Carolina, 2 5-4 teams. How do we handicap this game?
Well, I was with you, Prez, on Memphis. That was a game I gave out on every show I did last week. And why not? Again, the Dream Crusher scenario for the team they were playing last week. They played SMU, who lost probably one of the most bizarre games you'll ever lose. They fought their way back to kicking a game-tying field goal with 35 seconds left. They're undefeated on the season. They tie it up. Looks like we're heading to overtime. And what happens? Houston returns the ensuing kickoff with 35 seconds left, 100 yards to get the win. There was no way that I could see SMU picking themselves up off the mat after that tough loss. So now, for all the reasons we went against SMU last week, we're going to go against Memphis this week. Fat and sassy alert. Yes, they knocked off SMU. That in itself has me looking to go against Memphis. But you hear me talk about, you may have heard of that show I do, Prez, Bet On It. I have a segment where I have a game where we call the sandwich game. The sandwich game is right here. Look at who Memphis just played SMU, and who do they have on deck? The Houston Cougars, the other undefeated team in the conference. I am going with East Carolina, getting 6 points in this one. I think this will be a barn burner, and I'm grabbing the points. Team that has the ball last probably wins this game, and I say it's going to be East Carolina 31-30.
Marco D'Angelo, guys, it's $9 Mondays. Every play by every handicapper, $9. I'll use this moment to tell you I have an NFL, an NBA, and an NHL play. What do you got, Marco?
Of course you do, Prez. I have an NBA play up. We hit 60% last year. I haven't had an NBA play in, I think, 3 days. We've been very selective. We've got one tonight. Head over to WagerTalk.com. It's my total dominator play tonight in the NBA.
Get out of here, brother. Guys, stay with us. Just real quick. Real big boss, Teddy. He writes in the forum, these guys, the games were fixed yesterday. Just be on the games that Vegas needs to win and you will win. Teddy, if you were to guess, if you were to say, okay, I'm going to fix the Dallas Cowboy game, would it cost you $50 million to pay off these athletes that are making $25 million a year? I mean, how much you would have to pay Dak or Zeke millions of dollars, and then you wouldn't even be able to get that type of money down on the books. Like, why do people constantly think these games with multi-gazillionaires are fixed?
People like conspiracies. People like to blame others when they made poor betting decisions, or when other people make when the game doesn't turn out the way it was supposed to turn out. It's not unusual. I've been there earlier in my career. I can still remember the game, Prez. It was the Giants at Arizona, and it was I laid three with the Giants. This is like Kerry Collins era. It's like 20 years ago. But I laid 3 with the Giants, and there were 2 phantom calls on the Giants in the second half of that game that swung momentum, and Arizona ended up winning outright. And I'm like, oh, my God, it's fixed, it's fixed, it's fixed. And I had a conversation with someone who I respect. I'm going to leave his name unsaid here. But I had a conversation, and he basically said what you said. He's like, look, when you think about the modern world where everybody's got a Twitter account, everyone's got an Instagram account, everything that happens eventually comes out. He's like, there's no way. He's like, you just can't do it. And the players aren't going to get it. It's the refs. The only one who you can actually, fix it. Maybe a long snapper you can get to. But again, when you're talking about any contact with any ref and any bettor, that ref doesn't work for the NFL anymore. So you're giving away your career, you're giving away your job for this chance at one score. And no, you can't get that much down. So I'm with you. I'm not buying the games are fixed. Sometimes funny things happen. And yesterday was one of those days where a lot of funny things happened.
Yeah, I mean, the frauds ate right. Well, what about the Houston game last? What about this? What about that? Guys, it's sports, for Christ's sake. Dallas lost. Buffalo lost. Nobody got paid off. Like, you would think that these secrets would be impossible to keep in this day and age. Anyway.
Well, last thing, okay? Any of you guys think a game's fixed? Bet that game. If you know it's going to be like, all the games are fixed this week, you should be making a fortune. All right? A fortune. Because you know the games are fixed. Good luck with that. Before kickoff, you got to tell us what games are fixed.
Yeah. Let us know, guys. Let us know when you find out which game is fixed, please. Teddy, quick break. We're back with your big game breakdown, and Bryan Leonard, of course, joining us. 10 seconds.
Why pay regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBucks at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo? WagerBucks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of better, from as low as $90 gets $100, all the way up to $3,500 gets you $5,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBucks.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk a little NBA for tonight. The Lakers and the Charlotte Hornets. Right now, looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, I'm seeing mostly LA minus 1.5. Total 226.5. It's been bet up to 227, even 227.5 at a couple of spots. But note how short the Lakers are at home. And it doesn't look like they're going to have LeBron again tonight. They're not going to have LeBron again tonight. They may or may not have AD. If they do have AD, we'll see some Lakers money. But that's very questionable as we speak. And in theory, the Lakers are supposed to get right here. You know, Charlotte's lost 4 straight. And they're on the second of back-to-backs, and they got outscored 22-0 in the fourth quarter yesterday. They were up by 9 against the Clippers. And the next time they scored a basket, they were down by 13 with just over a minute to play. So a really ugly fourth quarter for Charlotte last night, and they haven't played good basketball of late. But make no mistake about it, Lakers are bad right now. I mean, you know, they're old. They're poorly put together as a team. LeBron bought in his buddies as opposed to the guys who can help. LeBron's hurt right now. AD is hurt right now. The defense isn't there. And more than any other factor, this is a Lakers team. There's no urgency for November. The Lakers are playing for May and June. And the defense right now in shambles. You have a team that both intensity and on-court execution hasn't been there. And you look at the quotes from Charlotte after last night's loss. After, again, they had the Clippers on the ropes on this floor, and they let them get off. James Borrego, head coach, quote, "Next game we'll move forward, learn from it, we'll watch some film, we'll get better Monday morning, do our walkthrough and come back at it again. There's another game on Monday night, so that's the beauty of the NBA." I think Charlotte wins this game. After the 4-game skid, after the blown lead yesterday against a Lakers team that is bet against all the way, 2-point spread covers in 10 games for LA. I would not be shocked if they get 2-point spread covers in their next 10 games. Give me Charlotte plus 1.5. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. President.
Great stuff, Teddy. Teddy, let's bring Bryan Leonard in. And Bryan, they're still talking in the chat room about these games are fixed. You know, everybody was on the Bills yesterday. They lost. Clearly, that means it was fixed. Everybody was on the Raiders. They lost. Clearly, that means it was fixed. Bri, you are one of the most knowledgeable, connected bettors on the planet. Which game did you fix yesterday?
It's pretty amazing. If you're not a sports bettor and you watched yesterday's games, that was the most exciting day of football. Unfortunately,
yeah.
I'm a sports bettor, and I didn't do well yesterday. No. And no, these games are not fixed. If you're going to fix, you're going to fix a small-time Ivy League college basketball game or something. I mean, professional sports, you can't get enough down to bet on those games. So don't pay any attention to that. And if you're saying that the games are fixed, it's because you've never played sports in your life. How many times we played sports, we were on either a terrible team or a good team, and we found a way to win or lose when we should have been the opposite direction. So it happens. It's life.
Yeah. Yeah, Bryan, they're saying, well, what about Tim Donahue? Okay, guys, look, anomalies happen, bro. Like, I wake up once every 6 months, I wake up, look in the mirror, and think, I'm ugly today. Anomalies happen. Teddy?
I'll just say, and the Tim Donahue stuff, okay, again, it's in theory one ref. There may or may not have been more. We don't know to this day how involved Scott Foster was in that, and there was a third ref as well. But we're talking about something from many years ago, 15 years ago, we're talking about something that affected a handful of NBA totals, no sides, totals they were betting. Okay. And we're talking about a scenario in which, again, nobody would have known. All right. Nobody would have, wouldn't there were crazy irregular betting patterns in those games until the very end when word got out. There were no irregular betting patterns on the NFL betting board yesterday either. When they do, it stands out.
Yeah. Well, and they have, like, the big books have huge investigators that study this stuff on a regular basis. Anyway, let's move on. We've given too much to this complete nonsense. Bri, you want to talk Detroit and Pittsburgh next week? Jumping ahead, if you will. Detroit finds themselves currently at +9. The total is 44. The Tennessee line came out yesterday before the game started, and it hasn't moved. It's unlikely this one will move that much either. How are you handicapping this game?
Yeah, it's a situation for me. Marco kind of touched on it earlier. I wanted to get this up because I know Marco loves his sandwich situations, and I wanted to beat him to the punch in this one because I did have an opinion on this game. You've got a team going into the bye, winless on the season with a rookie head coach. You know what they did during the bye. They studied. They put in new plays. They weren't satisfied going into the bye. You've got a Pittsburgh team who not only beat the Cleveland Browns last week on the road in a game they really shouldn't have won. Cleveland gave them that game. But now they're playing on Monday Night Football, and they leave the following week in a short week where Detroit is coming off of a bye. Pittsburgh got to play Monday night and then play again on Sunday. So they got the short week. And to add even more to the situation, they've got the Chargers, the Bengals, revenge, and Baltimore, their big rival, coming up the next 3 weeks. I'm not a huge spot player. I know Marco is, and he's having a terrific football season. But you can't find a better spot for the Detroit Lions here. Team who has not won on the season, rookie head coach coming off a bye against an ultimate sandwich situation here against the Steelers. I kind of hope Pittsburgh blows out Chicago tonight so we can get double digits with Detroit, but I'm very happy to take the 9 right now. It'll be on my card next week. I haven't put it up yet, but it's one of the better plays on the card for next Sunday's NFL.
So this is one of those games, Brian, where, stood out to Marco, stood out to you, stood out to me on Monday. Is this one of these spots where you want to grab the +9 now? Or because we're all kind of seeing the same thing, as this is not an easy spot for Pittsburgh? Or is this one of these situations where, hey, wait till after the game tonight, maybe you get a better number?
9's a pretty dead number. So it's sitting in that area right now. It wouldn't hurt at all if you put a half a unit on the 9, because I don't think we're going to see anything. We won't see a 7. So it's really pretty much dead numbers unless you get to the 10. If Pittsburgh blows them out, maybe we get the 10 and we get a better number. But I'm happy taking the 9 with a half a unit.
Yeah, and I think I could be wrong, but I think 9 is about 2% of all games, give or take. 1.8% of all games land on 9. It's between 9 and 8. I think 8 is like 2.6 and 9 is 1.8%. But what do we know? We just follow the fixed games. Teddy, Brian, $9 Mondays, everybody. Brian, what do you got for the clients for a $9 Monday?
Yeah, I've got 2 NBA plays up for tonight, $9 each. I also put up a 5% play in the NFL, a game I love for next week. I didn't have any 5% this last week, didn't care for the cards, and obviously after my NFL yesterday, it showed. But real nice play up. It'll get back to obviously $35 tomorrow. So if you want my 5% play for next week, you want to grab that now in the NFL, only $9 today.
Excellent stuff, brother. Let's talk Michigan, Penn State, 7 versus 23. I mean, Michigan can still find a way in. They have to win this one, +1, total of 48. How you handicapping this game?
Yeah, I like Michigan here. it's a situation for myself where I take a look at these two teams and what they've done all season long. Who's the better team? Michigan's the better team. Michigan doesn't turn the ball over. They haven't lost a turnover battle all season long. They take care of the football. Penn State, when they played some pretty good teams, Iowa -3, Ohio State -2. So when they've stepped up in class, they have not taken care of the football. Another big advantage, at least to me, is this game's being played at 12 noon Eastern. When Penn State plays their big games, they like the whiteout games and that at night. That's a huge advantage. And in an era now where NFL home field is 0 and college football is probably as low as it's been in a while, it's important to play your games when you got a fired up crowd. I know Penn State's tremendous home field advantage no matter what it is. There's a big differential for playing at 12 noon and 7 o'clock at night. So that's an advantage for Michigan here. And plus, you've got Michigan playing with double revenge. Lost the last two times they played Penn State. It's just a situation for me where I think Michigan is the better team, and we're catching a small amount, a point or so here. But I like Michigan in this contest.
So Jim Harbaugh has a fairly extensive and now fairly long-term track record of consistently failing in games like this one. I mean, it's been consistent. When Michigan steps up, especially on the road, but it doesn't really matter home road. But they've had a hard time coming away with games, even where they're the better team, even where they dominate for 55 minutes or 45 minutes of a game. 60 minutes of football has been a problem for Michigan in games like this one. Is that a concern for you here in Happy Valley?
It's always a concern. I mean, how does Harbaugh go from one of the best coaches in the NFL to a guy who's struggling to keep his job in college right now? It's just a situation for myself that I fully understand what you're saying. That is a drawback anytime you're playing Michigan. If this was against Ohio State, I wouldn't feel the same way. Ohio State just got their number and has got the better athletes. I don't think Penn State does. Penn State, slightly better coach here, but I'm not enamored with either one of them. So I'll take the Michigan here in the early game.
Bryan Leonard, everyone. You can find him at WagerTalk.com. He's got a 5% play up in the NFL for Sunday. You guys can get it for only $9. Let's talk Coastal Carolina. -10 versus Georgia State. Total of 52.5, Bri. How are you handicapping this game?
I was somewhat impressed by Coastal Carolina yesterday. I had a play on Georgia Southern. Took the 20, ends up at 20. Anybody who played it late did not get that push as Coastal ends up winning that game by 20, and the line went 4 points, went close to 16 because of the quarterback being out for Coastal. But I thought they played pretty well despite the quarterback being out, and it's a situation for myself. When I take a look at Georgia State, this is their 6th road game on the season, their 3rd straight road game. They go into Georgia Southern, big rivalry, win that game 21-14. Then they go play Lafayette on the road last week, give them a really good game, lose 21-17. How many times can you really get up on the road? 3 straight weeks, and they're playing Coastal Carolina here, a team who, like I said, I was somewhat surprised at how well they played, because once they played Appalachian State and lost that game, I thought there would be a little bit of a letdown. And the following week against Troy, they do get that victory, but they don't cover. And then last week, they played better than what I thought they would, and I have no problem going forward with them regardless of the quarterback situation. I think this is a team that the defense has stepped up. Only allowed 8 points last week against Georgia Southern. They played a couple of other really good defensive games, only allowed 3 to UMass, a bad football team, and Monroe, 6, a bad football team, although Monroe this year has pulled off a couple of shockers. They're more competitive this year than we thought coming into the season, but I think the line's just too short here. 9.5 points. Coastal's a much better team than Georgia State is. And I think Coastal Carolina has weathered the loss and the situation here for Georgia State. A lot of people are going to look at Georgia State. They lost last year, 51-0. So they've got home loss revenge, 51-0. But the schedule is just so bad here for them. Give me Coastal and a very playable number here at 9.5.
So here's my question about the Chanticleers. When it comes to strength of schedule, this team's got to be at or near the bottom in all of college football. You know, their non-conference was Citadel, Kansas, Buffalo, and UMass. How good are the Chanticleers?
We will have to see. I mean, the thing is, they've dominated. You can only play who's ever on your schedule. But look at some of the yardage advantages they had here. 373, 400, 354, 412. So they've not only played, and it's a great point about their schedule. I said this when they played Appalachian State, which is why I had a big play on App State in that game. It was because they've looked great, but they did it against bad opposition. Is Georgia State in that category that they're a weak team, or are they a better team? Well, they're better than, the Citadel, Buffalo, maybe not Buffalo, but UMass. But they're in that same general area here. Their best wins on the season: Charlotte 20-7, Monroe, Texas State, Georgia Southern. So the only game the offense ever looked good all season long was against Monroe, scoring 55. Other than that, is 28 points or less. This Coastal Carolina team has got enough offense to be able to get over that spread. And I thought the 9.5 was pretty cheap.
Great stuff, Bri. Thanks for joining us, man. Every Monday, you get to follow the sandwich man, the chicken wing, the sassy Marco D'Angelo. I think he's got a million nicknames. Anyway, it's time, everyone. It's the daily presidential address. Let's go. Hit that like button. Just a quick reminder, everybody watching this on Twitter, outstanding show on WagerTalk today. We had Marco D'Angelo and Bryan Leonard. It's also $9 Mondays. Everybody's play, only $9 over at WagerTalk. I want to point out that I am on a monster NBA run. 8-2 in my last 10, 13-4 in my last 17. I'm 13-6 on the season, and I have an NBA play up tonight for my customers. I also have an NFL play up tonight, and I'm killing it in the NFL as well. 8-3 run, 13-5 run, and so on and so forth. I got a hockey play up tonight, 3-1 run. Just really, really seeing things well right now. As for your free picks tonight, Pittsburgh and the Chicago Bears under the total of 39.5. I know a lot of you guys are saying, oh, that's so low, that's so low. I've been telling everybody for the last year, you take the lowest totals, you bet them under. You take the highest totals, you bet them over. You do that blind all year, you're going to win. 39.5 feels low, but 17-13 game is only 30. And that's a reasonable score in this game. Next is hockey. Right off the bat, I want to tell you guys, Washington Capitals at -1.5 tonight. But more importantly, shout out to the Florida Panthers, 10-0-1 on the season. They just beat the only other undefeated team in the Carolina Hurricanes. That puts them in a very bad spot tonight against the New York Rangers. Florida loses their first game. Take the Rangers it's a pick 'em. Other than that, it is my last day of golf in Toronto. It is high 60s weather. I'm out of here. Teddy, I got a falafel sandwich and a golf day ahead of me. Take us home.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap it for the Monday edition of Wager Talk today. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with us. We'll do it again tomorrow, every weekday, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. That being said, enjoy the games tonight and good luck. We'll see you tomorrow.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.